thought we'd have a bit of a catch-up, actually, before we head to MIPIM in March. And that'd be a bit of an opportunity for us to sit down, shoot the breeze, set some expectations around what we think will transpire and what will transpire from MIPIM before we kind of get there. And I know on social media and on LinkedIn, there's lots of people announcing that I will be in MIPIM, but I thought it'd be really good for us to do a bit of we are us and we're going to be in MIPIM. So my name's Gurminder from Egis. I'm going to be in MIPIM 2026. I just want to introduce my colleagues.
I'm Amiri, and I'm going to be in MIPIM as a Group Building Director for Egis.
Great to have this conversation. My name is Tim Martin. I'm the Regional Managing Principal for the 10N Collective, which is the architectural line of the Egis Group.
So we're kind of covering the breadth of probably what we do here at Egis. If I was going to put my transportation hat on and infrastructure hat on to kind of plug that area, we've got infrastructure, we've got buildings engineering, and we've got buildings architecture. But listen, before we kind of get into all of that, I wanted to have a bit of it's a week away, Monday to Friday, yeah? And we've all been to events and exhibitions, and some of us will have been to MIPIM before and survived it. But I just wanted to really try and understand what your expectations are, whether you've been before and have different expectations this year, or whether you've not been before and you're trying to think, what do I do with 5 days in the south of France that is recordable and we can share with the wider world? So, and that's an open question, and you can ask me the same as well, Jen. So go for it.
Well, I have been to MIPIM before. It was fairly civilized, I would say, with all the side events that are going on, but it was really useful to see a lot of our good clients there, very fruitful conversations that actually resulted in some follow-up conversation when we came back to the regions, and it materialized into project opportunities, some of the mega opportunities. So I found it really useful, and also to gather with the rest of the colleagues and friends within the Egis group, as well as those outside, and it was very productive, and above all, it was good fun to be able to catch up with good old friends, make new friends, have a comfortable conversation, and I found it quite fun.
I think that's the joy of MIPIM, though, right? It's those connections you don't know you're going to make at the beginning of the week. We all have these meetings set up, we all have our lunches and our breakfasts, but it's really those moments when you haven't bumped into someone for several years, you catch up and opportunities come in. It's that week out of the boardroom to really have proper dialogues and conversations, not just about project basis, but really on what the industry's going and where the industry is really shaping itself. Of course, you have to look out for the gilets and see how many of the gilet bingo we can win on this year, because that's where it goes. But to me, it's all about those informal connections. I think when you come away at the end of the week and you don't know, well, you didn't expect to see someone, you did, and that just kind of makes your week. Yeah. But Gurminder, you're an old-time MIPIM attendee, right?
Do you know, it's going to be a shock to you all, but I'm not actually. And this is going to be my first attendance at MIPIM, having been in the industry, particularly the building side of the industry here in the Middle East for over 15 years. Probably more so the infrastructure industry back in the UK for 15 years prior to that. So I've always been quite envious. So this podcast for everybody has got nothing to do with sharing ideas with everybody. It's just me trying to get some ground rules on what happens when I go to MIPIM and ultimately what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, et cetera, and how many events do we really have to attend. And I'm going to pick up on what you said, Ali, the unofficial events, and Tim, you've kind of touched upon it as well, and I want to ask this really interesting question on the formalities of MIPIM as an event versus the informalities of MIPIM as an event, and the importance of relationships.
Yeah, I think that's really good, and I think that's where MIPIM is a little different because you're there for so long. The whole week you have the chance to really do both, and I think it's really hard to maximize or prioritize your time. Sometimes, how much time do you spend at the actual exhibition? To me, it's always walking up the corniche there, and going to various hotels and restaurants, and again making those sort of informal connections. But I think there have been quite a few times now having sort of anchors in the diary really kind of helps shape that day, and then the day sort of progresses until the evening, and then the evening, well, it's always good fun along the corniche with the various hotels and after parties.
So it's a really interesting. So all the people that have been sharing their MIPIM stories with me, whether that's the architects who work with, the developers, or the other engineers that we do partner with, everybody's kind of told a similar story to me. And what's quite interesting is nobody's actually said, I will see you at this event within it. They've said, at the event, we're going to be here. So I'm hoping that before we arrive, we should have at least one day where we have locked in a venue, pretty much as you described, Tim, on the Corniche, where after we've done the day's events at MIPIM, we can really gather some, to your point, Ali, friends and colleagues together. And I think this industry is very much based upon friendships, colleagues, and experiences. And we've all been in the game long enough to know that the real difficult experiences and the real challenging experiences that we've got have probably solidified friendships, and they're the friendships that we're probably going to be sharing some experiences within MIPIM. What would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you go and see a lot of old friends and new friends from all over the world. But also you get to see some of your old friends and colleagues that they are in the cities that you're going. It could be Dubai, London, Paris, from wherever you go, and you don't get to see those colleagues and friends throughout the year, and then you just catch up in MIPIM over
Yeah.
over a drink or a dinner. So I think it does bring up that really added value of bringing experts in the industry at senior level to mingle and talk and share ideas. As you say, it's not necessarily about live ongoing opportunities or projects, but also about what do we think where the industry going, the future of our cities, the challenges we face in terms of the climate change, and the way that we want to embed those principles in our future designs. And I think it's sometimes the conversations get very intellectual, sometimes it just goes and becomes a pragmatic project level, or just good fun. So I think, but you're right, it is really an added value. The vibe, the environment is the weather is really the combination is perfect for gathering and socializing, and always, to me, this friendship, trust, and this vibe helps coming up with ideas, opportunities, and follow-up conversations that materialize into something fascinating. That was my experience.
Yeah, like I think it's also having conversations not necessarily with just clients, but it's with the partners, with competitors. I think that's what I always find very interesting. We're all here for a common cause. Ultimately, we're all trying to drive the future of design or engineering or transport. But those moments, those almost water cooler moments you get in the exhibitions or the events or the thought pieces, I think is what really shapes what the trends of our industry is really looking for.
Yeah.
And that's where the intelligence comes to the client. So it's really about the shared purpose to me. Those moments, those connections, those times when you just have that spark of an idea that you kind of bring back to the office, or you bring back to the Middle East, or you bring back globally. And I think, the three of us around here as well, as we're a global firm, we have the opportunity to make that difference and to make that change. And that to me is kind of a success of MIPIM. If you can come back with one spark, and you're like, you know what, this coming year, that's what we should be doing differently.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting because you're absolutely right. We've all come from different organizations. And we've all gathered here at Egis and the 10N Collective from an architecture perspective. And we've kind of brought all these ideas and experiences together from our history of working so it's quite nice to hear that when we get together with the community, and I'm talking about the community being the wider industry, competitors, peers, whatever we want to call them, that we still have them connections, and we are still able to talk through things that are important in the industry, whether it's, the reality of net zero, whether it's the reality of PPP in the Middle East. And I don't want to delve too much down into the sectors, because I kind of realize that all of these conversations, tend to be quite organic. You'll bump into something, you'll know that their narrative or their experience will be X, Y, and Z, and you end up talking about that. And it's good that we share ideas as an industry and get together. So kind of like packaging that up, and Ali, you talked about, sometimes you end up in real intellectual conversations on the environment and net zero and strategies like that. And Tim, you're talking about experiences in terms of the people that you've known in the past and just sharing ideas. Do you think MIPIM's become the right industry incubator for the collective of our built environment getting together? And if there was anything missing from it, because I'm trying to compare it akin to just going to a 3-day exhibition that might happen globally in any part of the world. When people seem to talk about this MIPIM event, the social versus the actual formalized part of it is such an organic and fruitful event. Do you think they've kind of capitalized that on that space a bit?
I think what they've done really well is, the first time going, the scale of this thing is huge. The volume of people there, I can't remember how many go now, but it's massive, and it can be quite intimidating when you're looking at the who's going list. It's pages and pages and pages. But because they've curated these spaces and this exhibition and the talks, and then now the pavilions along the Corniche and all these separate spaces, I think what they've done really well is enabling you to kind of curate your own journey and experience through the week. And again, it's kind of what we do in terms of design, right? How do you plan your week? What do you want to experience? What do you want to get out of this? And that's where I think they've done incredibly well. Obviously, we've got MIPIM, Saudi coming up later this year as well, which is their sort of first foray, and obviously we got the Hong Kong one as well. But I think it's kind of what the grandfather of, I guess, our real estate event. Yeah. And it changes each year, which is what I also like. It's many years ago it used to be much smaller, much more biased towards social, but now it's people are really there to do business and to interact and to really understand what our business is about.
Yeah.
And Ali, just kind of chatting on that, do you think it's a perfect platform to really cement and get the Egis message out there, whether that's a 10N message or an Egis message out there into the kind of industry? Because we have globalized, and that globalization journey is somewhat set in the Middle East, and now it needs to be probably re-emphasized and reinforced, and then relationships, need to be cemented. Do you think it's a perfect platform for that? Do you think it's a perfect platform for Egypt?
I think so. Absolutely. I mean, we have some key messages around our strength and on the architecture side, but also on the engineering side around value engineering expertise and capabilities that we have around our strengths on doing really complex projects from bread and butter hospitality and resis to theme parks and master plans, but also our principles around sustainability, whatever the political agenda, but that's not a tagline or just a buzzword for us. It's really an important value for us, and our differentiator that we embed that into our engineering design and architecture, and we consider ourselves coming from a city, the mothership is in Paris, and from the city that the Paris Agreement is signed by all the nations. So we are proud of that, and this is always these conversations around how we can be better at towards the principle of net zero, as you mentioned, and the challenges of climate change. There are always conversations that comes around these topics that always gets all the intellectuals that we see, they're excited and coming up with ideas. So we really, every time these conversations comes up on the fireside chats and talks, these topics are really hot topics for MIPIM, and I really enjoy every time I attend. And I think it is a perfect for real estate event to promote these kind of conversations. I'm really proud of what they achieved.
And hopefully it plants Amiri central to our engineering business globally and here in the Middle East, not forgetting this is your home territory and home turf as well. So I think it's very good that people within the industry, like I said, whether they're other architects, whether they're our peers, when we partner with peers, whether they are developers, that they can visualize, I'm going to be working with Ali, or I'm going to be working with Tim and his team. And I think for me, that's a very important part of the kind of process of an event like MIPIM. I think it's a relationship-based deal, for want of a better word, and anybody going there with a business card and brochures of what they do needs to probably jump on a plane and probably go back the other way, because I think it's probably, and I would like to see us as a business not be doing that, but building sound relationships based upon the fact that we end up trading with people that have the same values as us, that have aligned conversations with us. But ultimately, Tim, if we're going to picture anything, what are the things that we'd really want to be looking at when we get into the kind of MIPIM space?
Okay, I think to pick up on your previous point, what is also great about this event is it's 360, right? So you have clients are there, actually the city of Birmingham or London or whoever, or some of the Middle East. So it's not just about suppliers and architects kind of trying to pitch upwards, which again changes the whole conversation. Like, there's lots of trends out there. I think everyone's talking about in our industry. To me, the one that still keeps coming through is obviously the hospitality market, and it's not just pure hospitality now. It's how that goes into residential, how it goes into commercial, how it goes into the way we live, the way we walk, the way we act, the way we experience. So I think a lot of conversations that have been ongoing for a couple of years, but I think now are kind of getting more formalized into what this could be, is what is that future of hospitality, and what does that do to the experience of us as humans as we use these spaces and these places that we create. So a lot of what I want to hear about is really about the hospitality, future thinking, and new areas, new geographies.
So hospitality, the human experience, and on this side we've got artificial intelligence smashing the industry. How do you think them two things are going to really collide or not?
Look, AI is obviously such a huge topic, and it's not such a new topic anymore. But
I expect a full description on this podcast now.
I mean, it opens up a can of worms, right? Look, ultimately, AI is kind of only as good as what gets fed into it. In my view, it's an enhancer to what we do. And again, going back to that experience, AI can't generate an experience necessarily. So it works with us. It works alongside us. It needs to challenge us, and that's the way we're really starting to work on across the architectural line. It's not going to get rid of any of us. It's just going to make what we do hopefully better.
Brilliant. I'm going to wrap up a bit now, but Ali, any words for, hopefully our listeners have carried on listening in. Hope they found it slightly humorous, this, and slightly lighthearted, but hopefully they found it honest and true to, I wanted us to have a bit of a catch up, and I wanted it to feel humanized, and I wanted it to feel true, and I did want it to be a sales pitch. So we've done really well and not selling the fact that we're 6,000 people. No, I'm joking. We've done really well to do that, and I want to stay away from that. So Ali, any last messages on us visiting MIPIM in a few weeks' time?
I'm just looking forward to the meeting old friends, hopefully new friends as well, and interesting talks and catching up, and always ideas come out of these relaxed and comfortable conversations. So looking forward to it.
Look, I have to agree. Look, it's all about people, right? And networking and seeing people we haven't met for a while and making new connections. So that's what I'm really excited about. I think also we need to make sure if it is your first time, Gurminder, that you have a gilet in place, because you will need it in the evenings.
Thank you very much. Anyway, listen, from me, I'm looking forward to popping my cherry, so to speak. I'm looking forward to MIPIM. I've got lots of people asking me what I'm doing and where I'm going to be and where we're going to be as well. And so I'm kind of hoping that this podcast goes out, and then after that we might be able to announce to a few people where we might be on a couple of evenings, so we can get some of that relationship stuff going. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Looking
Okay.
forward to the ride. Yeah, I hope you look
100%.
after me.
Sounds good.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you at MIPIM, everybody.
See you at MIPIM.
MIPIM.